Thank you for staying with us on the conversation. Now, West African ministers recently met in Abuja to address serious threats facing the region, specifically the rise of violent extremism and a wave of military coups. Now, they expressed deep concern over security issues such as the spread of illegal weapons and piracy in the Gulf of Guinea. The leaders emphasized that sticking together to stop unconstitutional government takeovers and restoring democratic rule are essential for the region's future stability. Now, on the economic front, the Council pushed for faster cooperation, specifically working towards a single shared currency and allowing the free movement of people and trade between member states or member countries. Now, they also discussed urgent humanitarian challenges such as food shortages and climate change impacts, agreeing that nations must coordinate their efforts to build resilience and improve the lives of their citizens. Well, today on the conversation, I'm joined by Dennis Amachree, his former Assistant Director, Department of State Services in the U.S. He's in the U.S. at the moment. Thank you so much, Mr. Amachree, for joining us at this time. So let's begin with the elephant in the room, which is the contagion of coups. Now, we just saw a successful military takeover in Guinea-Bissau in November and also a failed attempt in Benin just a few days ago. Now, ECOWAS has zero tolerance for coups on paper, yet General Hotta is sitting in the presidential palace in Bissau right now. So would you say that ECOWAS is becoming a bystander in its own backyard, issuing condemnations that, warlords simply cannot ignore or simply ignore?
Well, thank you very much. It is very, very interesting times, where, of course, ECOWAS is waking up. It's a wake-up call. And you can see from the meeting of the ministers to even the meeting of the heads of states, ECOWAS is moving from rhetorics to operational response, because they actually face an existential threat. The threat has changed. And then, of course, the coups, late 60s, 70s, the West African sub-region was flushed with military regimes, starting from Senegal, Gambia, all the way to Nigeria, Cameroon. So that trend is trying to repeat itself, and of course, they in fact referred to us as the coup belt right now. And ECOWAS is now trying to wake up to address that, because that's what they are supposed to address long time ago, and they've not gone to it. But I'm happy that at least they are waking up right now to look at it.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the attempted coup against President Talon in Benin, which was reportedly foiled with Nigerian military assistance, not even an ECOWAS standby force, by the way. So if member states have to rely on bilateral favors from Nigeria rather than the regional bloc's security architecture, what is the point of, our collective security treaty?
Well, actually, they are saying that it's an ECOWAS standby force. But all of us know that it was Nigeria.
Absolutely.
Because later they say, oh, there were troops from Ghana, Sierra Leone, and Ivory Coast. But actually, it's Nigeria. They sent in the jets to fly over the country, scaring the hell out of the coup plotters. And then, of course, that might have contributed to their giving up. But it's Nigeria. And right now, what is happening is that they are trying to settle down, looking at the threat face to face, and then, of course, trying to see that they contribute. Every country will contribute to make sure that they try to get the threat away from West Africa. The major threat now is coups. They call it unconstitutional governance, but I think there is coup, and there is the major threat now. And they're looking at all those AES states and then what is remaining. I think it's something that is very worrisome to the other governments. And I think they have to address it.
Well, during the meeting, we actually spoke on, I say we, I mean everyone, spoke on unity. But the reality is a fractured map, because you see Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, that's the Alliance of Sahel states, have not only walked out, they even launched their own biometric passport in January. So when you have three nations physically erasing the ECOWAS logo from their borders, isn't it time to admit that the regional integration dream is effectively dead, especially in the Sahel?
You see, one thing is this. I know that the governments that are in West Africa are trying to get themselves back together again because they saw this existential threat facing them. And then the likelihood of other countries joining the AES states. Right now we have the AES states, we have Guinea, Bissau, Chad is right there. Other countries are all looking at it. Look at the attempted coup that we have in Benin Republic. So what is happening? They feel that this thing is slipping out of their hand. So what do? They are trying to bring up a contribution. I think every country is supposed to contribute 1,650 persons to do counter-terrorism brigade, they call them. And then, of course, they are supposed to safeguard the region. But it is very difficult. ECOMOG was there. Nigeria carried all the expenses in dealing with it. So I don't think Nigeria itself is ready to carry out this. The reaction or the quick response that was expected that Nigeria showed was because that coup in Benin Republic is too close to call. It's too close to us. And then they have to do it to make sure that they don't encourage anybody. Remember, there was a coup in Nigeria, and then, of course, they don't want other people having ideas, that, look, if we are going to have more coups, then we are going to be dealing with it. But this is something that they have to sit back and think. It is not by military force. I think it's more of a diplomatic thing that will happen, to get the region together or to get their individual countries together. Because the core problem is the same. The fundamental problems of poverty, unemployment, insensitive governance. The governments are insensitive to the situation of their populace. And I think it is high time they look at that instead of trying to form a force that they will use in suppressing, what is going to happen.
Well, just before we continue, let's just state that, the alleged attempted coup, was denied by the Nigerian government. But, we all know, right? So let's talk about terrorism, terrorism statistics versus reality. Now, we have reports indicating that over 50% of global terrorism-related deaths in 2024 occurred right here in the Sahel. Ministers in Abuja expressed concern, but where is the strategy? Because all we see is concern, but there's no strategy, because after a decade of task forces and summits, why are the militants gaining ground while the politicians are losing it?
And this is the problem. This is a major problem. People have asked, why are we still playing kids' glove with the militants? Why are we so fast to respond to Benin Republic while these people are still within our borders doing whatever they like? Well, I have to give it to the government today, the present government in Nigeria, whereby I think I'm seeing some arrests. I'm seeing some prosecutions going on. The former AGF is in court right now. And of course, the EFCC is dealing with that. The DSS is also making some serious arrests of bandits or whoever, terrorist leaders. And then, of course, they should move further. Deal with the financiers, deal with all those big guys who are still in government, who are known to have supported, these terrorists, because we cannot continue accommodating them, or some people feeling that they're above the law and then they can just do whatever they like. They can have meetings with bandits. They can, frolic with them, and then nothing happens. This problem is for real. And I think it's high time we see some arrests, we see some prosecutions, and then put them on their toes, because they are very comfortable in the country. They are too comfortable sitting down there, giving the government and people of Nigeria a lot of headache.
Well, the lack of arrests.
Do it.
Yeah, the lack of arrests and the impunity is the reason why so many people do not even trust ECOWAS and are wondering what they are doing, because even ECOWAS Commission President Omar Torre admitted to a trust deficit. But let's be specific. Young people in West Africa often cheer for these military juntas. We've seen it happen, especially in Burkina Faso, even in Benin. Right? They cheered for them. A lot of people came out to support them, before the coup was, foiled. They see ECOWAS not as a guardian of democracy, but as a club of incumbents protecting each other. So how do you convince, a 20-year-old in Bamako or Conakry that this organization represents them and not just the elite?
Yeah, one thing is this. They have to. ECOWAS have a lot to do. ECOWAS has a lot to do because, like I said earlier, they are trying to move from rhetorics to operational response. And I hope this is not just rhetorics of the commission having meetings and talking and, everybody is scared. So they are trying to come up with some kind of, grandstanding. They should actually move out and do it. You are right. All the young people, West Africa is most of the people in West Africa, more than 50% are below the age of 25, 30. So these people are very, very, angry, or they are agitated. They are looking at their future. What is happening? Things are so bad in their country. Graduates cannot get jobs, and then at the same time, you see big politicians feeding fat, their family members are feeding fat, and then they are holding their degrees, master's degree, PhD, walking the streets, and they cannot get a job. So this has to be addressed. And rhetoric is not going to address it. Because see, they look at Burkina Faso, look at those young captains that are in those countries that are talking tough. They've taken over, and then they're talking tough and doing certain things. People will wish that that also happened in their own country. So our leaders have to wake up and do something about it. Let's, like I said earlier in other fora, let's forget about the politics. We are all so busy about who is defecting to our party, who is not going to run the next election, what is going to happen in 2027. We should forget about all that and address the security problems. Okay. And the security problems will also depend on the living conditions, those in IDP camps coming out to go to their farms, and a lot of things should happen that people will say, okay, yes, the security condition is getting better. And if the security condition gets better, then their livelihood will also get better.
Okay. Now, Mr. Amachree, now, aside insecurity, the bloc has also, once again, pushed the eco single currency launch to 2027, and this keeps happening over and over and over again. So, be honest with us. With inflation rates in double digits in several member states and a fractured political landscape, is this 2027 target a technical reality, or is it just a political hallucination, to distract from the current chaos?
We have had landmarks and timelines all over the year. 2020 agenda, all kinds of agendas all the way when we're in the 90s and stuff like that. 1990. 2020s and stuff like that. Right now it's 2027 and 2030 something, and all those ones don't really matter. They don't. I think we should face today, deal with today, make sure we're trying to solve the problem of today, because the other ones we are talking about, project this, project that, all of them are rhetorics. They are rhetorics, and we should deal with. I know politicians have to give some kind of hope to their people, but from what you do today, at least we can see tomorrow.
All right. Let's also talk about another, discussion and something that was discussed during the meeting. Because while the ministers debated protocols and custom unions, the World Food Programme warns that 52 million people in this region, faced acute hunger during the 2025 lean season. So why is there such a massive gap between the high-level boardroom discussions and also the daily grinding reality of starvation for our citizens, for citizens of these member states?
Because, I think in security we call it executive myopia. Executive myopia in the sense that, the executives, those people in that meeting, some of them don't know the cost of gari in the market. They don't know the cost of an egg in the market because they don't buy them. They are not used to it. So executive myopia comes into play when, of course, the people around them tell them what is going on, and they really they are not in touch with reality, because when you look at it, there's grinding problem. But of course, if you go and talk to the people that are in that commission, the ministers and stuff like that, they can give you statistics and then tell you, look at these statistics, we are getting better. We are getting better. But you see, the best statistics is the one that the ordinary person on the streets can feel when he goes and buy something and the price is less than what he had it. Christmas is coming now. How much are we buying a mudu of rice? How much is a chicken? That is what is more important statistics to them than the one that we are getting, international global indexes and stuff like that. Can I wake up in around 9 p.m. and say I have to drive from Lagos to Ibadan, or I will drive from Ibadan to Abuja? That is security. Then I'll feel that, yes, the security has improved. But we are trying to solve it because, believe it or not, that Trump effect has helped, because I can see a lot of things happening. The security people are doing things. The military is also very, very active now, and we are really dealing with these terrorists. I hope the tempo will continue, and we will continue, to it will increase so that we can address this existential problem.
But the terrorists
that is
themselves, the terrorists have also, upped their tempo as well. While the security forces are doing their thing, terrorists are also increasing, their capacity and doing more as well.
No, they are on. I'll tell you something, Dashi. What they are doing is panic measure. The terrorists are panicking in Nigeria right now because with the Trump effect and with the heightened military and security forces on them, they are busy. Like you can see, suddenly they go and, kidnap school children. And, 200 like that. What are they trying to say? Come and attack us, and we will use these children to cover ourselves. They want to use them as human shields, and we know that is the plan. But I'm very happy that at least the government is approaching it in whatever way they're approaching it, because they have to be very transparent about this. Get those children out of the place, and then, of course, address those bandits and terrorists out of Nigeria.
All right, but let's also forget that the U.S. envoy, were around on a fact-finding mission, especially to Benue State, and they've gone back. We're still waiting to hear, what they found, but I'm hearing that they actually found that there was indeed a genocide of some sort. But then, what do you think that them coming to Nigeria would actually yield? What results would it yield?
I am a little bit disappointed when I find out that what was happening was being used as political rhetorics, Christian genocide, Then suddenly we also heard about Muslim genocides too. Yes, the bandits, the terrorists, ISWAP, kills both Christians and Muslims. They are extremist Islamic, fundamentalists. And if you don't believe in their kind of Islam, they'll kill you. At the same time, of course, Christians, they will kill. Benue State has suffered a lot because most of the people they kill there are Christians. And then, of course, in other states, they were killing Christians, burning churches, in Borno State. But the point is that I don't believe in those rhetorics because what we want to see is that Nigerians are not killed. Nigerians are not killed. If a suicide bomber goes into a market and releases a bomb and it kills 20.
Your final thoughts before we wrap up, but then just before your thoughts, for years we know that, civil society has demanded that ECOWAS amend its protocol to stop presidents from changing constitutions to extend their term limits. Now, this third termism, in quote, is a major driver of these coups, just as we know. So why was this specific issue not the headline of the Abuja summit? Who is blocking it?
Well, the leaders are blocking it. There was a time, AU, African Union, and even ECOWAS themselves started this peer review thing, whereby they have to assess each other. Even right now, they put it as, I think, a good governance, where they were reviewing some of their protocols, and then that was one of them, good governance and democracy. Is democracy working? Maybe. But if it is working, then why are some people trying to change the government, extend their tenures, and, trying to sit put? Other countries don't do it. Other continents don't do it. Why is it so rampant in Africa, where somebody goes into office and then you don't want to stay here, you don't want to stay for the allotted time and you want to extend it because you must have seen a lot of money, because it's so corrupt that you want to continue stealing it, or you want to now change it from yourself to your family. You know, there is this tendency, or should I say, the monarchical tendency in Africa. You know, that's the kind of government we had, kingdoms. And then, of course, the king actually stays until he dies, and then he now transfers to his son, his first son. You know, Nollywood act that a lot. We need a son, a heir apparent, you know, to take over. So it's part of us in Africa. And we brought it to democracy. And we're not used to that democracy, because how can the king and the vulcanizer have the same votes? You know, that's why you see that even in our own method of what we're doing right now, we try to change it. Oh, this is governor's candidate. This is president's candidate, you know, or the president himself want to extend his tenure because they don't like to leave. They don't want to do their own and go so that other people can take over, you know. And we have to learn that. If we cannot learn that, then we have to come up with our own brand of democracy.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for your expert's opinion, Dennis Amachree, former Assistant Director, DSS in the U.S. Thank you so much once again. We appreciate your fair time,
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.